Hello, my name is Andika Putra and today I will present you my Sociolinguistic Project 1. The first part is dialect. Dialect is a variety of a language shared by a certain group or community, differentiated by its own special pronunciation, grammar, and vocabulary. The dialects of the same language are primarily distinguished from each other by differences in linguistic features such as phonology, morphology, syntax, and vocabulary. Dialect can reveal an individual's status, group, or class. Their way of speech will tell where they live or what group they belong to. There are two types of dialect, regional dialect and social dialect, while code mixing and slang are a part of dialect. The first is regional dialect. A regional dialect is a distinct variety of a language spoken in a certain geographic area, set apart by unique vocabulary, grammar, and pronunciation. It is a special method people talk in certain areas, and sometimes people utter or interact in different regional dialects depending on where they live. For example, of regional dialect, from southern United States, you all means you or you all, reckon means things, and fixing means about to do something. And another example, in New York City, you guys means you or you all. Tackling means dealing with something, and ke is a way to call someone or add it at the end of the sentence. Ke is like a bro. Then from the UK, I means yes or affirmative, ain't means not or no, and we means small or tiny. Then another one, African American, they say hella means very, not using is or are in a sentence, and fina means about to. And we go to regional dialect in Indonesian context. In Indonesia, regional dialects are usually connected to local languages and regional varieties of Indonesians with the use of Bahasa Indonesia language. Indonesia is a very diverse and has many unique culture. Dialects can change a lot even between nearby areas. For example, in Yogyakarta and Solo, Japanese people tend to talk with a very polite speech. They are respectful and they speak with soft pronunciation. While in Surabaya and Malang, Japanese folk talks more direct with blunt tone. They use informal speech and louder pronunciation. And other meaning, in Jakarta, many people there use Indonesian slang. They utilize the word gue and lu when addressing people rather than aku and kamu. The way they talk are usually influenced by social media or trends. The regional dialects in Indonesia can easily reveal one's culture, identity, and place where they live. Then we go to social dialect. A social dialect is a variety of language utilized by a certain social group, class, or ethnicity, rather than by region. The difference in vocabulary, pronunciation, and grammar are based on social factor rather than place. For example, social dialect, teenagers or youth, they use many slangs. For example, caps means lie, or lit means awesome. They are influenced by trends, social media, or the internet as a whole. Then, another one from in working adults, more formal tone and being politeness, always careful when expressing opinion. For example, they tend to use excuse me when asking or requesting something. Then, we go to code mixing. Code mixing is the blending of two or more languages or dialects within a single utterance, clause, or sentence, commonly used by bilingual or persons speaking with two languages or multilingual speakers, someone that speaks more than two languages. It is an interesting phenomenon where vocabulary or grammatical structures from one language are inserted into another. It usually appears in daily conversation, social media, and professional environments to express emotion, show solidarity, or simply communication. And it is the few examples of code mixing in bahasa Indonesia to English code mixing. Bisa nggak sih lu tuh nggak slow kalau mikir? The next, kalau udah kalah pasti by complaining. And then the last, crush gue lewat tadi, bingung mau say apa. And we go to the part 2. So part 1 is dioclosia. In the case is in a university seminar, a student presents using formal Indonesians. However, during the discussion session, the same student switches to a more informal variety when interacting with peers. Meanwhile, the lecturer consistently uses formal Indonesians throughout the sessions. This is my answer. The students use a high variety of diglossia during the presentation, as it is the correct form of language for a presentation in a university seminar. The lecturer also used the same variety of diglossia because the formal language is the appropriate way to speak to university students, while the students changes to low variety diglossia or informal language when communicating with fellow students. It is the usual way of speaking among students because they are equal status and in a casual manner. The student's presentation include public speaking, therefore the right method of speaking is a high variety diglossia. A high variety diglossia is mainly present in a formal spoken purpose or official written. This is from As, Aya, and Hasan and D 2025. The usage of low variety diglossia appears with the students communicating with other students. They speak that way because they have a casual relationship and comfortable with the way it is. Low variety diglossia includes informal everyday conversation. This is for Munawaro et al. 2025. And we go to the part, the number 2, code alternation, style shifting, code mixing, and code switching. The case is, during a group discussion, students frequently mix Indonesians and English. One student say, menurut saya, this concept is very important untuk kita pahami, while another responds in full English, but later switches back to Indonesians when speaking to another peer. And my answer, the one student who say, menurut saya this concept is very important untuk kita pahami is aligned with code mixing, a mix of two languages in one sentence, with the only English word important, while the rest is all in Bahasa Indonesia. This happens because the other students talks in and respond in full English, and the one student doesn't seem to mind. Therefore, both students understand the two languages. As for the students who speak with full language, decides to change to speaking in full Bahasa Indonesia to another peer. This another peer seem not to understand English, so the student alters the language to match the situation. The alteration of languages between students occurs because the language variations utilized are adapted to needs and situation. This is from Asifa, FN, and colleague 2026. Since they are students, they are learning languages by trying to mix languages in their everyday conversation, and they will change their way of speaking according to who they are talking to. If the person they are talking to doesn't understand English, the student will only speak Bahasa Indonesia in order to avoid confusion and misunderstanding. This is from Pane and Marpuang 2026. Now we go to number 3, style shifting. The case is, a student speaks very formally when presenting in front of the class, but becomes highly informal when talking to close friends after class. The vocabulary, tone, and sentence structure change significantly depending on the audience. My answer, the students speak with formal languages. The students speak with formal language during presentation because it's a form of public speaking, and formal language is the correct way to speak for that condition. The students only employ informal language when speaking with a close friend. This style shifting occurs because the student is comfortable with the friend and is the correct way to communicate. It's from Putra 2026. If the student utilize formal language when communicating with a close friend, it will be awkward and weird. A style shifting is required when case like this appears, as it's viewed as a creative method to position themselves with the right respect. This is from Rizela 2025. We go to number 4, code mixing. The case is, in the casual conversation, a student says, aku lagi ngerjain assignment yang deadline-nya besok, jadi harus cepat selesai. The sentence combines elements from Indonesian and English within the same utterance. My answer, code mixing is utilized to facilitate communication by adapting one's speech to the situation in which an utterance is taking place. This is from Ashifa FN and colleague 2026. The student say, aku ingin ngerjain assignment yang deadline-nya besok, jadi harus cepat selesai. This is a case of code mixing where Bahasa Indonesia sentence has only these two English words in a sentence, which is deadline and assignment. The students utters this in a casual situation. Therefore, the manner is relaxed and no formal language is needed. Other than that, the mix of two languages is to effectively convey the intended message. From Himil and Hashim 2026. And we go to number 5, code switching. The case is, during a class discussion, a student begins in speaking in Indonesian but switches entirely to English when explaining a concept, then return to Indonesian when giving example. My answer, the use of code switching by the student when explaining a concept may occur because it is the appropriate technique to describe the concept, or an easier way to assist the listener in understanding the concept. The the code switching function serves as a strategic linguistic resource that allow the student to deliver the meaning of a sentence. Therefore, Pane and Marpuang 2026. The student changes back to using Bahasa Indonesia when giving examples. The reason behind this may be to help the listener get a clear picture of the examples without any misunderstanding. This code switching is a natural linguistic strategy among learning individuals, such as university students. This is from Khairun Nisa Y and Zulferdi LA 2026. We go to the last number, dialect. The case is students from different regions in Indonesia interact in the classroom. Some use standard Indonesian, while others incorporate regional dialect features such as pronunciation, vocabulary, or intonation. My answer, a classroom filled with students who originate from different places will definitely contain many unique dialects, as a dialect is a variety of a language shared by a certain group or community, differentiated by its own special pronunciation, grammar, and vocabulary. Dialect can reveal an individual's status, group, or class. Their way of speech will tell where they live or what group they belong to. Then to through semi-structured interviews and participatory observation. Dialect can reflect age, social status, and relational proximity. It is from Sa'dah, Kumala, Sukmawan, and Rusmawati, 2025. Features such as pronunciation, vocabulary, or intonation will distinguish certain dialects. It is from Bernard, 2025. And the last part, this is my reference, Shiva FN and Khalid A, 2026. The title is Code Switching and Code Missing in Maxwell Salvador's Oral Speech on YouTube, a Sociolinguistic Study. The second references, As B. Aya, L. and Hassan, Q and D, 2025, a Sociolinguistic Study of the Glossa and Lingua Franca. The third is Bernard L.M., 2025, Dialectology and Dialect Intelligibility. The fourth, Kairunisa Y and Zulferi LA 2026, Analysis of Code Switching from Zana Sashania, Content on TikTok. The fifth, Munarwo S. Nur Fatima, D. Azhar, MS Rizki, MJ Islam, U. and Hari B. 2025, Al-Ishrat 4. And the sixth, Pane GN and Marpau, MS 2026, Language Choice in Film, The Architecture of Love, a study of code switching and code mixing. And the last page of reference, Putri TJ 2006, Character Identity Construction Through Linguistic Variation in Sherlock Holmes, a third wave social linguistic reading. Then Rizello S 2025, Variation as Social Linguistic Competence in Children's Talk. Then Sa'dah A. Kumala, S.N. Sukmawan, and S. Rusmawati R. 2025, Dialect Variation and Social Identity, a case study of Japanese language interaction in multicultural communities. And the last reference, Ulhimil Z. A. and Asim and NMH, 2026, Code Mixing as a Social Linguistic Feature in Form Saga with Love. Thank you.